Hey guys, welcome back to Book Boy Custom, and today we're going to talk about Car Guy shows. These shows originally showcased some insane restorations and modifications, and they're one of the reasons why I love cars so much. A problem that plagues all car TV shows is that watching someone wrench and weld is only so entertaining. For that reason, you usually only see two kinds of shows. One focuses heavily on its own entertainment value, shows like Fast and Loud, Overhauling, Pit My Ride, and Tex-Mex Motors. The other focuses on promoting and selling product. Think of shows like Stacey Davis Gears, Two Guys Garage, Truck U, and Detroit Muscle. Both kinds have or had their own place in the car community throughout the years. But for as many upsides, there are downsides. Let's talk about a few of them. Although the cars can overshadow this, many of the shows on Speed and Power Nation focused heavily on selling the products used to build the cars.
Scott Shop. What you see on the table here is a BDS 4-inch high clearance suspension.
So what we did was we got this little coolant flush kit. It's a nice little
Right. When it comes to performance suspension parts, you've probably heard of BMR suspension.
The production of these shows are pretty high. You have to have a film crew, a lighting crew, a sound crew, editors, not to mention the actors, and we haven't even gotten to the cars. But the car scene at the time was on fire. We have the Fast and the Furious taking the world by storm.
Granny shifting, not double clutching like you should.
People are out here playing Gran Turismo and Need for Speed. Gas prices have gone back down a little and the recession hasn't even hit yet. People have been eyeballing their dad's old Cutlass that's been sitting in the backyard, and they remember a thing or two from all the times they held the flashlight for their dads as they yelled at them to keep it steady. Some producers saw this and they realized it was a golden opportunity not to make money on the views, but on selling parts, the tools, and the equipment. These shows basically became a big commercial. They would sell the dream that anyone with some scratch in their pocket could build their own dream retro mod, their own off-roader, or their own track car. One big example of this was Stacey Davis Gears.
Now you're watching Gears, brought to you by Holly Performance Products. Fuel your passion. And Cornwell Tools, the choice of professionals.
Stacey Davis Gears was a show for the do-it-yourselfer. Stacey would showcase all types of builds and should give it a step-by-step process of everything from the hardcore fabrication all the way down to detailing the car. He even often gave history lessons for us young folk. This show gave homage to a lot of the old school days and often had legendary drag racers, fabricators, and even musicians on as guests. Gears would have various segments that gave accurate and helpful information to assist people in their projects.
Now, Quick Tip, brought to you by E3 Spark Plugs, born to burn.
That are supposed to help you with this, but that doesn't do you much good when the parts are plastic.
At the end of each episode, Stacey would have a segment called What Are You Working On? A fan of the show would submit a project of theirs with their own pictures, and Stacey would compliment their hard work and really give them the motivation to finish it. On top of the motivation, he would give them gifts, usually a sponsored tool and some merch. He did a great job of building a community of people around his show. The products they sold on the show very rarely felt out of place, as many of them were commonly used in the automotive industry. This show gave so much confidence as I started automotive program in my high school. We never really worked on anything old enough for me to use most of the quick tips that Stacey taught me, but I got top of my class anyways. Turns out Gears has been continuing on the internet, mostly on YouTube. They are all the way up to season 17, and going back and watching some of their latest episodes, I fully expected the show to be completely different, but besides Stacey looking a bit older, the show is exactly the same. Shows like this helped build entire industries and made car enthusiasts out of many of us. But even though the audience pool was growing, it wasn't big enough for most of the big TV networks to hop in the water. There were only so many sponsors, and the internet was proving to be a cheap and effective way to advertise and sell parts. It was around this time that a new type of show was taking television by storm: reality TV.
Alright, we got a situation.
It seemed to come out of nowhere. People were eating up the drama left and right, and shows like Top Gear proved that there was a potential for an entertainment aspect in car shows. So, car shows evolved. In the 2010s, there were a couple of car building competition type shows that showcase impressive builds from shops and very tight deadlines. Car Warriors was a show where two teams would compete to build classic muscle cars in 72 hours. In that time, teams would have to come up with a concept and build the car before the 72 hours was up. There was a lot of drama of the teams fighting for parts. Sometimes one team would hoard parts. There's a lot of tension and a lot of pressure from the deadline. Teams will make very simple and basic mistakes that will cost them so much in the long haul. And I don't even want to think about the pressure for the painter to paint the car quickly and efficiently.
Steering lines, there was only one. You guys grab.
Hey, Ray, why don't you go to your side?
How?
Now you're being like a bitch again.
I'm not
Go
being
over
a
there.
being a
Go over
bitch
there.
again?
Yeah.
What the are you talking about?
It was around this time that a show would come out with a recipe so good that a lot of other shows would copy it. And that show was a little show called Fast and Loud. For those of you who don't know, Fast and Loud was a show based in Texas, where a team of highly skilled fabricators restored cars. They originally didn't focus hard on selling products like Stacey David's Gears or Two Guys Garage. Fast and Loud was a show that mixed in the reality TV with the car. At the forefront of this show was a man named Richard Rawlings, a man whose personality would prove to be the show's greatest asset. But Richard wasn't a fabricator or mechanic. Besides being the boss, his purpose was to buy and sell the car. He would drive hard bargains when buying and selling the project cars, and even flipping a few cars in the process. He would use his charisma and extensive car knowledge to maximize his profit. He did it in such a way that would inspire many of us to try to flip our own cars. But back at the shop, the Froome crew would capture everything they could. Drama, the frustrations, all the hijinks. This show had a great personality. Crew would give their own opinions when they did or didn't like the color choice.
Dude, that looks hideous.
Or they would all make a collective decision against Big Daddy Rich. Soon networks would all mimic this style of reality car show, each with their own spin. Some of Rawlings' crew even left to start their own shows. What were your favorite car shows growing up? What shows would you like to see a full dive of? Let me know in the comments. And remember to always stay broke, they be creepin'.